Now, I'd like to introduce the second speaker of this assembly, no other than the Dean, College of Architecture of National University. Architect CHONA Ponce is our guest sharer who will be sharing about the challenges the administrators will face post COVID-19 pandemic. So this is actually get already trying to zero into our industry itself, no, and particularly what's happening in the academe, no. So is CHONA already around?
I'm waiting.
Okay, so it's your turn now, Ma'am Chons, for sharing. So I'll give the floor to
Yes,
you
I'm
now.
waiting. Morning. Okay. Let me start. Um, I'm sure almost all of the schools have been preparing for the post-COVID-19 pandemic. And although CHED has already announced and DepEd has already announced that schools will be opening on August, so they've moved the school year to from August to June. So we are all preparing for the post-COVID-19 pandemic. Next slide, please. So the outline will be what are the realities and what are we assuming in the preparation of the new normal. Then, of course, what are the new normal for this coming school year and the challenges that we will be facing. Next. So the realities, of course, it has been mentioned that there is still no vaccine available. Sabi nga ni President Digong, wag muna kayong mamamatay hanggang wala pang COVID na vaccine. So we're still waiting for that. And then, of course, the quarantine protocols will still persist throughout the school year, at least during the first sem. And if conditions will not be better, especially with the opening of NCR into a GCQ, alam ko ang daming sabik ng lumabas, mag-malling. So I don't see COVID-19 being controlled. We still see that maybe students below 20 years old and those over 60 years old will not be allowed to go out. And then, of course, even DepEd has already said this, that they might or they will prohibit the face-to-face classes. Now, of course, this is because the students and also the faculty, the teachers will be exposed. And the limitation of transportation. So as of now, of course, we see in the news that, for example, LRT, the train, MRT, even the buses will only have about 1/4 capacity. So we foresee that the travel time will be longer for the students and the faculty as well. So next slide, please. So what these are the new normal protocol, and we've been hearing this time and time again since the start of ECQ, or even since the start of the pandemic. So the health protocols applied are, of course, anywhere you go, there's always the observation of physical distancing. At the beginning, it was just 1 meter away, and then they said the safer one would be 2 meters away. Although some are saying each person should be given about 3 square meters. And the mandatory face mask. So anywhere you go, it's mandatory to use that. Even in the workplace, hand washing, thermal scanning, sanitation mats, and then hand sanitizer. There are a lot of new normal protocol. In the supermarkets, we even see them using the face mask. Yeah. And then, of course, even in the offices, they are requesting a 50% only of the employees to be in the office at one time. So in our offices, it will mean per employee is about 3 days in the office, and then half of it, and then the other days will be work from home. This is to limit the number of persons in a room. So likewise, the limited number of students will be about half only. So if your classroom is about 6 by 9, it will only allow a maximum of 25 students in the room, including the teacher. And of course, there's the distance of the faculty from students. What about if you are handling a studio class where you have to, the students should be near you for you to see their plates. So it will be a different practice altogether. There was even a suggestion to put acrylic shield from the faculty table. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, what will be the new normal? We've heard about the blended learning or flexible learning, instructional delivery. Can we go to the next slide, Mona? So we will see the definition of blended learning. Okay, flexible learning muna. So this is the design and delivery of programs, courses, and learning interventions that address the learner's unique needs in terms of place, pace, process, and products learning. It involves the use of digital and non-digital technology, covers both face-to-face learning and out-of-classroom learning modes of delivery. It ensures the continuity of inclusive and accessible education when the use of traditional modes of teaching is not feasible, as in the occurrence of national emergencies. Next slide, please. So the next slide is the definition of blended learning, which is more commonly used now. This is a formal education program in which the students learn, at least in part, through online learning with some element of student control over time, place, path, and or pace, and at least in part in a supervised brick and mortar location, ibig sabihin face-to-face, and the modalities along each student's learning path within a course or subject are connected to provide an integrated learning experience. Can we go back 2 slides before this? Okay. So almost all of the universities, especially in Metro Manila, UST, for example, have been using blended learning for so long, even FEU, I know, or Benil. In our university, although we have a learning platform, we are still not using the blended learning in its essence, except for this third term, where we are forced to use the remote asynchronous learning module. So with this blended learning or the flexible learning system, the classes will be conducted in synchronous and asynchronous modes. Meaning, synchronous is you all go online at the same time. And asynchronous is you upload all of the materials, the students can access it anytime they have connection. Um, the problem with the synchronous, of course, is the internet connection. If they cannot connect within that time frame that you are holding your class, then parang absent din sila. While the asynchronous mode, well, of course, to some, they say there will be discrimination because some will not have a good internet connection. Some will not even have laptops or gadgets to connect. But this is now the reality. So the most effective way is to do the asynchronous modes so that they can just go online anytime they want to or anytime they have access to internet. And then, of course, for the lecture subjects, it's easy to offer them full online, except, of course, for example, the engineering subjects, statics, theory of structures, even on face-to-face basis, the students already have difficulty learning the subject. How much more if they go online, full online for these subjects? So in National University, we have been thinking about a 50-50, 50% online, 50% face-to-face. For example, um, if you have in your regular SEMs, there are 18 weeks. So at least you meet the students 9 times if it's a weekly basis, or if it's twice a week. So at least you meet the students 18 times, and then 18 times they go online. For studio subjects, it would be easier kasi we always give them the design brief, and then give them instructions on what to do, and then they can do the drawings at home, so out of class. So it can be done 70-30, but we still do not believe that it should be done full online. The challenge here will be for the freshman students. How do you teach them graphics online? So how do you check their line values? How do you check if they're using the drafting tools correctly? So, and then of course, if you have blended learning, you can do a rotation. What does rotation mean? For example, your regular class size is 40. You can have the first half, if it's a twice a week class, for example, it's the combination is Monday, Thursday. Group A will attend the face-to-face on Monday, and then Group B will attend the class on Friday. Okay, so what will the other half do? You can either have a live stream so that those who are not inside the classroom can attend the online class. Or you will have activities so that those who are not able to attend the online class or the face-to-face will have an activity or something to do while out of class or while not face-to-face. So there are a lot of schemes actually for rotation. Uh, it depends on what your school will implement. But in our school, in our university, it will still be a case-to-case basis per subject. Um, so it depends on the teacher. Of course, this will mean additional work for the faculty. If it's 50% will attend now, then 50% is the faculty going to repeat the lecture for the second batch, or if he will record the lecture for first batch and then upload it so that the second batch can hear it through the asynchronous mode. At least that's actually it's easier to teach inside the classroom because this will mean a lot of work for the faculty. Not really a lot of work, but we will need to redraw the curriculum or the syllabi. Next slides, please, after the definition. Okay, so what will be the challenges? First of all, equipment. Are all the students equipped? Uh, in our survey during this, at the start of the pandemic, we surveyed our students and only 30%, of course, for the general knowledge of the public, National University caters to the lower income bracket. So most of our students do not have computer, PCs, or laptops at home. So they use their gadget, smartphone to access the course materials. Right now, we have already talked to the internet providers like Globe and Smart for a plan to have a tablet. Uh, there's, I think, a tablet that costs only less than 5,000 pesos plus pocket Wi-Fi so that the students can access their internet at home. So, but the challenge also is for the faculty, not just the students, because the faculty will also need a laptop at least to prepare their materials. And of course, connectivity or the internet connection. Uh, of course, we know that our last night in the news, we are on the lower 100 among countries with with in regards to the pace of the internet connection. Of course, we are so far away from Singapore in terms of connectivity, or even Japan. So this will be a very big challenge, especially if everybody will now rely on internet connection for their education needs. And of course, what will be the learning management system? Uh, for USC, for example, I know they've been employing the electronic blackboard. In National University, we are using the Office 365. There's a portion there, it says Teams, where you can upload all of the uh, course materials. You can even do your online exams, and then the exam result will be sent to you via Excel file. Uh, you can also have a chat group in that platform. But it depends on what your school is offering. Others use the Google Class, and the others use the Coursera, etc. So there are a lot of learning LMS, but it depends on your school. And then, of course, the setup at home. Of course, we understand that this is a self-paced kind of education. It's not, it will depend a lot on the students. So what is the setup at home? Is it conducive to learning? We've had meetings online. Sometimes there's somebody passing at the back of the person we are meeting, walang t-shirt, o kaya maingay, nagkakalampagan yung mga plato habang nagmi-meeting kayo. So what if it happens during your class? In fact, some of our students are better connected in the evening. So they chat with the faculty, and sometimes they meet late in the afternoon or in the evening, so that they have better connection, and the house is more peaceful and more quiet. And of course, the readiness of the students. I understand that a lot of the elementary, high schools have been employing online learning, or they already have ebooks provided for them, so they did not have any problems when the COVID took us by surprise last March. So they were still able to finish their classes. Uh, NU, for example, has already been using the Office 365, so we've been applying this a lot, but uh, there's still a lot of challenge for us in terms of readiness of the student, and in terms of discipline. Even if you upload the materials, they will not participate. Although you can see them if they're on Facebook, uh, naka-live. Pero they are not participating in your class. So, uh, this will be a very big challenge for the students also, not just for the faculty. Of course, for the facilities, we will have, do we have enough classrooms if the class will be divided? Um, there was even one suggestion, you have half of the class in one room, and then the other half in the other room, where you will be live streamed so that they can hear your lecture, but they're not in the same room at the same time. Uh, so this will be a big challenge, especially to the schools with a lot of students. Also, actually, one of the challenges is are there enough students who would like to enroll during this period? We already heard parents who said, I would rather not enroll my student now because, or my son or my child now because of the pandemic threat or the COVID-19 threat. And there are still some students who say, I do not learn much from online classes. So I would rather have the face-to-face. So we're looking at a cut of about 30% in the number of enrollees this coming term. So that will also mean for the faculty loading will be a lot less. Next slide, please. So for the faculty, of course, we need retooling or training. As one of our speakers said earlier, are we technology natives or are we technology naives? Ako I'm already a senior. I'm still technology challenged. So I rely so much on other people in terms of connecting, etc. Uh, But what about uploading or revising our syllabi? Of course, we already have our course materials, course syllabi, but depending, we will now have to change the assessment mode, the delivery. If it's, for example, for module one, is this going to be full online? Or 50% of it will go online? And then what will be the assessment methods? You cannot just give them position papers or reflection or reaction papers or just quizzes. You also have to look at what, in terms of OBE, what are the learning objectives of the subject. So, and of course, the use of technology. We in we understand that most of the faculty over 60 years old will have a very big challenge regarding this one. Either they don't want to learn anymore. So this will be a very big challenge because the students are waiting for them to upload their course materials. So what they do, the faculty will do, is to upload them via internet, giving them through the emails. Okay, another challenge for the faculty who will be preparing the materials is the intellectual property right. If I'm going to do these materials, if I will revise my syllabi, upload it, give it to the students, what if somebody will use your course materials outside of your class, outside of school? I understand, for example, for review materials, for example, from review schools, the materials that they gave out in the review schools are already in recto. So how do you now protect the materials that you made uh, from going out? Of course, there's also plagiarism. Plagiarism in terms of, are you uploading materials that you got from the internet directly without referring to the author, etc. And also the students who will upload their materials or their assignments. So this is a very big challenge for all of us. And attendance monitoring of faculty and students. For example, in our university, we can log in and out through the internet. What about the students, especially if you are using the asynchronous learning? Ibig sabihin, they don't go online at the same time. So how do you monitor their attendance? Um, One faculty would ask their students to even chat him in the messenger group that he accessed the course materials that was sent, uh, but this will be a really big challenge. Or do we now waive the attendance of students in the regular classroom setup? For example, we say 20% absence would mean you're already uh, failed due to absences. So that will be one of the challenges. And then adjustment of fees for the tuition fees, um, a lot of students complain that they are made to pay the whole fee even if they're not in class. The university has already cut on we already checked on what can be cut from their fees, miscellaneous fees, especially for electricity, water, use of facilities, um, for their CAD class, for example, if they're using plot paper, the office supplies, so there will be a big cut on them. But we disagree that there will be a cut on faculty salaries because, in fact, more work, but actually just in the beginning, will be done by the faculty. But once they already uploaded the course materials, it will be smooth sailing already. So we don't agree. Of course, there are some issues such as the will the faculty be given internet load or fees or allowance. Uh, the admin, of course, it's a situation wherein you already saved them your allowance going to school, travel time, you save for how many hours of travel time, uh, and also, so it will be a balance of if you are especially spending more than 1,000 pesos for transportation for 2 weeks. So you can connect to a good internet service provider. Of course, the students will be having a hard time with online enrollment, especially for special cases. Like right now, where we have a lot of subjects where we cannot really fail the students, but give them grades of in progress until the time that they can finish, they can submit the requirements for that subject. And so how do you advise them? So it will not be a regular block enrollment. Also, one of the challenges is the online resources. Although in architecture, it's not really a big problem for all of us, but in preparation of the revised syllabi, we have to look out for online resources that we can include in our course materials. And of course, the guidance counseling, health services. During the COVID-19, our guidance counseling office has already notified the students that they can chat with the guidance counselors. The health services can only offer advice to the community about what to do during the COVID crisis. But since they will not be able, the faculty and students are not able to go to school, so they don't have anything to check in terms of health situation. Next. Okay. Go back again. Sorry. So this will be a very big challenge to the administration. We will have to adjust our syllabi, even our what we do inside the classroom. In fact, sabi nga ng iba, I enjoy classroom teaching very much. But now that this is a new normal, uh, it's hard to talk by yourself in the internet without them interacting. So you, and then of course, when you have a basher, hindi po nawawala yun. You have at least one student who will instigate, he will call on the others not to submit, etc., etc. There will also be one faculty who will complain that they're doing a lot of things, but actually, if you look at the right side of it, you're with your family, you're safe in your home, you have less risk of getting the virus, uh, and hopefully you're still getting paid. We're part of the SM group, so SM has already announced that there will be continuous pay during this period. Uh, and for those who will be going to school, will have a 30% premium. But what about the other schools who can't afford to pay outside of the contract period of the faculty? So how will they prepare the course materials, the syllabi, if their contract has already expired? For example, their contract is only up to May 30. So will I do my course materials after I'm not already paid? So it will have a lot of uh, it will still peak until the first week of classes unless the administration will require everybody to submit their course materials. Okay, so I guess I'm out of time, so we can we can just listen to the others and then I'll be here for the if there will be questions, or you can put in the chat group uh, any concerns or questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Chons. The presentation is very clear naman, and I would like to thank you for giving us an overview of the challenges of the administrators. But I think you have done more than that because you have also provided us the presentation of the challenges of regular faculty members teaching architecture, no? And I think based on the feedbacks, the live feedbacks that we have been checking, no, there is one good question coming from Architect Jeco. Maybe you could answer, no? We will just have two probably. So in the interest
Okay.
of time, we cannot accommodate all. But maybe offline we can address them. No, we will be giving you the other questions. Ang sabi niya, can social media be an accessible platform for learning? Or maybe I could add to that question, more than the accessibility is the acceptability. No, say for example, social media, Facebook, or let's say messenger, will this be will this be acceptable, no? Since Philippines is known to be a top social media user, even it can be accessed by the poorest of the poor communities, no? Do you think this would be an effective tool or platform for learning, Ma'am Chance?
Actually, actually, right now, because using the Office 365, downloading the materials, it takes longer and more data for the students. So what we do is we combine the FB Messenger group, which is faster, and sabi nila, I don't know because uh, libre daw yung sa FB Messenger. So we do a combination. Sometimes the chat is through the FB Messenger group. They're always online. But uploading the materials, it's risky, as I've said, because of the intellectual property, right? So it's risky to post it in social media. That's why the faculty just tell them, okay, I've uploaded materials that you can download, but they do not post it in social media. The discussions can be done in social media, but uploading of the materials, you have to be protected also.
Yeah. And this is really just a small question, but prior to that, maybe I could comment also on what you mentioned about the attendance. And
Yes,
I think I'd like to share also that maybe in the nature of the OBE, where which we are actually the mode we are using now in the outcomes based
yes,
education, I think attendance will be the least item to be factored in the grade, no? Because
yes,
we know that students actually learn in various paces. May mabilis makatuto, yung iba mabagal. So I don't think we must put into consideration a big amount, no, for attendance, because at the end, natuto ba yung bata, no? So outcomes
yes,
based talaga dapat, no?
yes,
Not counting anymore the attendance. But however, the question is, if we do that, there is now the question of diagnostic. No? Sabi natin, as long as in the end, natuto siya. No? But how do we now do diagnostics kung there is the issue of plagiarism, the usual classic copy paste problem. How do we address them? And perhaps you as administrator, how would you now try to control all of these challenges?
Okay, regarding the attendance, we already drafted a new policies for the new normal. So yes, attendance will not matter much. But this will also mean that in your syllabi, you will already put that attendance is not the usual number of lates equals one absent. So that will change.
Yeah,
And regarding the diagnostics, of course, we have a lot of means. Well, online exams is the easiest one, especially multiple choice. Asking them to submit their portfolio is a big challenge, especially if it's in the higher design. Uh, some students do not have laptops to do their AutoCAD work drawings. So during this period, we even ask them if you have I mean, because they said the lockdown was so fast, we were not able to get our materials, our drawing materials from the
yeah,
lockers. So we just asked them what we are looking at actually is for example, it's a design subject. We're looking at the process of designing, not the rendering techniques. So even if they do it at the back of the big calendar sheets, they can submit it, take a photo
correct.
and
Yeah,
submit it. So if they have, most of them do not have scanners at home. So we accept photographs. For example, for the higher designs, those with AutoCAD, it's easier because they can just submit their e-files to the faculty. It's a challenge for the faculty if you do not have a laptop at home or if it's only an iPad and it's very small. So it's really a big challenge for you to be zooming in and out all the
correct.
time, especially if you have more than 20 students. Uh, but there will be a lot more that you can do in terms of diagnostics. Uh, for example, we have our CAD class this last term. How do you test the students if they do not have um, AutoCAD at home or do not have computers at home? So what we will do this coming first term, we will have a bridging program. We will allow them to use the laboratory so they can work on their work until they finish the requirements. So in progress pa rin yan. So we are giving them at least a year to finish. So the challenge will be how they can enroll on the next subject, where that subject where they got the in progress grade is a prerequisite of the next subject. So that's another challenge for us. That's why I'm saying enrollment for the next term will be a mess. It's going to be a one-on-one case-to-case basis. Although it's online, but you will have to waive all the prerequisites for the students to move on.
Yeah. Okay, I think we will have to limit the questions to these two because we are again running out of time. We do not want to extend it too much because we know that in this new mode of communication, ang attention span ng mga audience ay maliit lang. So we cannot have a whole day session here. So I'd like to
Pakape
thank
ka.
Architect Chona. Yeah,
Wala
may
bang
kape ko
pakape?
dito. Para po sa kaalaman ng lahat, Architect Chona has been a very good friend since way back. No? Magkasama po kami sa FEU, believe it or not, in 1995 pa. So it's been 25 years. No? It's been 25 years that we have been together in the industry and we have the same passion and love for educating and sharing our knowledge to students. So I'd like to thank Architect Ponce for sharing her insights in this virtual assembly. And we will see you soon, ma'am. And your certificate will be delivered to your office.
Pag-grab na
Thank
lang.
you. Yes.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. So thank you so much again, Architect Chona. And let's move on to our next speaker.